Alright, folks, welcome to the first episode of MFIT TV. I'm your host, Nick Carroll, I guess, with my... What are you doing?
Checking my Starbucks.
My co-host, seven-time IFBB Pro champion, Guy Cisternino, a.k.a. Quadro. You can see all the Sandows on his shelf. Anyway, today we are going to be discussing our new non-stim pre-workout, Hazard, by far my favorite product. So to give a brief background, what we're going to do is essentially take you through what we prefer. So I know Guy is a big proponent of Havoc for a multitude of reasons. I am a Hazard person. I'm two ends of the spectrum. I like Hazard and I like Trigger. Havoc is the middle ground because you have moderate levels of stims. Guy likes, he's good with the 200 level of caffeine. I either like...
Or none.
What?
I prefer none.
Yeah.
Because I don't need any more energy.
Then you already have. Yeah.
For those that know me.
You have probably.
Way too.
Yeah,
but Hazard, why I used Havoc so much is because we didn't have Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can, and now I can. You can even add Hazard and Havoc together if you want just extra pump, which I've done already.
What I've been doing is, I initially, when we first launched Hazard, I was just taking that. But then what I started doing, since we've been quarantined, I've been doing a scoop of Havoc.
Rationing?
No, I've been doing a scoop of Havoc, and then as I train, I sip on Hazard. Because you still get all the pump ingredients as you train, and it has electrolytes, and it has all the hydration complexes in there as well with extra focus that even Havoc doesn't give you. So you can sip on this as you train too.
Or my BCAAs intro.
Yeah, you're a big BCAA guy. You always have an intro workout. But what I wanted to touch on is something that I think, we can definitely mutually agree on, is that
I'm bigger than you.
Well, yeah, you're also a lot shorter than me, but the common misconception in the pre-workout category is, especially since the sports nutrition category itself has blown up in the past, just the past 3 years alone, astronomically from a category standpoint, that there's a misconception that the quality or the level of, I guess, intensity, if you will, of the product is measured by the amount of caffeine on the back of the label. People will take a pre-workout off the back of the off of a shelf, and they'll say, "Oh, this only has 200 milligrams of caffeine." Like when we first came out with Havoc, people were saying like, "Oh, that's pretty light. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is nonsense." But then when people actually take it and they see that the doses that are coinciding with the caffeine, with the nootropics, with the citrulline malate, with the aging mast, carnosine, yada yada yada, everything works synergistically. So
it's crazy. Everybody looks on the back of the labels to see how much caffeine it has, but nobody, when they buy coffee, nobody looks to see which coffee has the most caffeine in it.
Exactly. I actually never thought of it that way. But the same thing with your
comment. You want caffeine, you're like, I don't really care how much caffeine it has. I just want coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When realistically, you should be or be knowing how much caffeine you're taking in.
Mm-hmm.
But pre-workouts, it's more important.
Of course. And this is the thing, too, is that when you're all jittered out, correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice from a pre-workout standpoint. Prior to training, you don't want to be off the fucking walls bouncing left and right. You want to be dialed in, focused. Mm-hmm. And when you take a pre-workout formula, you're breaking down muscle tissue. So when you're breaking down muscle tissue, you need to flood oxygen, fresh blood, and nutrients into that muscle that you're training in order to start repairing that muscle that you're targeted that day. So I mean that's solely the reason why we created Hazard is to give you that blood flow, that electrolytes that you need, and also to keep you dialed in just as much as your high stim pre-workout. So we're going to dive into this, what's in the product, why it's in there, and a couple benefits. And also we have a special guest, my man Chaz from Compound Solutions, who is going to pop in today to discuss about one specific ingredient in here, which is probably my favorite. So that being said, let's read off the SFB really quick. You guys see it here. You can't really see anything, but
shit.
You look like shit.
Read it off.
First things first, vitamin C. Well, besides being an immune support supplement, now with everything going on, you need that shit. We have 150 milligrams of vitamin C in here. A lot of people don't know that it improves endothelium-dependent vasodilation, which increases nitric oxide health within the human body itself. I didn't know that when I first got into the industry 5-6 years ago.
4,000 mgs of vitamin C a day.
Yeah, which, by the way, MFIT may be dropping a vitamin C product in the next couple of weeks. Wink, wink. So keep your eyes out for that shit. I'm sorry, what was that, Mr. Cisternino?
Punch, mouth.
Okay, moving on. Electrolytes. We have magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Magnesium come from maggluconate. Potassium coming from 2 grams of coconut water powder. And your sodium coming from pink Himalayan sea salt.
Kind of heavier hydration formula.
Yeah. So we have 2 grams of the coconut water powder in here, opposed to, let's say, the standard 500 that you see in a lot of hydration powders and a lot of intras, and pre's for that matter. But we stuck 2 grams in here because, I mean, you could talk about it more. In terms of hydration, I think there's a misconception, again, within the pre-workout category that people think just drinking water hydrates them when that's not the case.
No, I actually use, and I'll shout him out because I think you're a fan of him as well as I am. And when he found that I was using it, he actually sent me a bunch. But I use HydroCharge a lot throughout my day. Chris Gethin's Cage line, because it has such a big hydration formula. Because if you don't have the proper electrolytes, like there's times if I go to the gym and I don't have like the proper electrolytes in me, like I will cramp really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why people say salt your. That's why when I forgot who you were talking to when I was by you. You were talking to one of your clients, and you're like, "Salt your meals, bro.
Yeah,
you gotta start salting your meals."
Pink Himalayan sea salt, any kind of electrolyte, powder, is good. Gatorades can be very good too.
Yeah,
intra-workout. Obviously, I drink my.
If you're willing to take in those carbs throughout the day.
Exactly. Well, you could get. Even the zeros still have electrolytes in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's definitely not.
They don't have and they have the sodium. They don't have the sugar, but it still does help you with hydration. But yeah, you absolutely, especially with how much more you're going to be dehydrated from the pre-workout, in its own, you need something to hydrate those cells.
And I know that Chris uses 500 milligrams of coconut water powder in here. This has not 500, not 1,000, not 1,500. But 2,000, so 2 grams of coconut water powder in Hazard. So you're taking hydration to the next absolute level, plus your pink Himalayan sea salt. So all in all, from an hydration standpoint, muscle contraction, muscle health, this alone, I drank this morning because there's so many focus factors in their hydration, all that jazz. I was feeling pretty depleted. I felt pretty weak. And I'm not saying this is the reason why I feel better now, but it really did help me a lot. Next on the list is 1.5 grams of Hydromax, 65% glycerol. Consuming glycerol with large amounts of liquid actually increases hyperhydration, which fills your muscles with water, engulfs them to really get you that pump. And it's by far the best glycerol on the market. I know that the people at Hydromax did an article with Ben at Price Plow, and they actually mentioned Hazard in there as the next non-stim pre-workout to look for. And I know you've used just standalone glycerol, and you've thrown it in your pre's or whatever. But it's definitely one of those ingredients that when it comes to volumizing your muscle bellies, if you will, as you train. I know when we were in Ohio, you pulled out this white powder and you're like, throw this in your container, and I was like, what? It's glycerol, dude. So that's the end point.
That's
Next is nitrogen, bonded arginine and silicone, enhanced nitric oxide levels. It's actually clinically proven to show a significant increase in vasodilation, obviously non-stim pump formula, cognitive function, and much more. The cognitive piece is what a lot of people leave out when they talk about nitrogen. They look at it and they just think bonded arginine silicate, and that's not the case. There have been studies showing that it does increase or should increase cognitive function as well. Speaking of cognitive function, if we're going to dial in on that, we have probably my second favorite ingredient in here is lion's mane mushroom extract. So we have 500 milligrams of lion's mane mushroom extract. This actually decreases brain inflammation and has been shown to increase dopamine production within
mental focus.
Yeah, you're dialed in. So usually you'll see around 150 to 300 mgs of lion's mane in non-stims or just standalone SKUs. But in this case, you're seeing half a gram, which actually may enhance euphoria in some cases. But you're getting 0.5 gram of lion's mane in here, which is also in PeakO2, which we're going to touch on later with Chaz in a couple minutes.
Chazzy boy.
Chaz. And then S7. This ingredient came out a couple, I believe almost a year ago now, Futureceuticals. And the claim on it is actually increases vasodilation, clinically proven to increase nitric oxide production by 230%. Not like 50% or anything shit like that, 230%. So when I saw that data in that white paper, you know, and people had mixed feelings on it, I decided to run with it because this was only, when we first designed Hazard, was only Hydromax, nitrogen, vitamin C, and coconut water powder.
Which really, you don't need much more than that.
No, but now when you add an hydration complex, glycerol, nitrogen, PeakO2, S7, lion's mane, it's literally the only thing you, and this is, I want to say for the past 4 days, I've just been taking this. So, so with that being said, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but I want to dive into PeakO2 and the science behind that and why having it in here is so awesome. So I'm going to get Chaz on the line. How about that?
Chaz.
So Chaz is from Compound Solutions. They make Instaminos, PeakO2, Go BHB salts. They're really at the forefront when it comes to ingredients and really making sure that companies like MFIT and ANZ Pharmaceutical really have, you know, their T's crossed and their I's dotted when it comes to product innovation and raw material ingredients. So I know, Guy, you were a big fan of a couple of their products. We're actually going to be using their Instaminos when we reformulate Menace. There he is!
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Chaz? How are you, man?
Doing well. And yourself?
Doing all right. You know, staying busy inside, not leaving the house.
Amen to that, man. I think we're going to get, like, everybody's house is going to be spotless here, like, already.
I know. Yeah, I was thinking the other day, I mean, I don't know about Guy, which, I mean, I don't know if you can get any smaller, but with people not being able to train, you know, people are going to, those gym membership rates are going to start skyrocketing after this.
No, without a doubt. You got to admit, though, it was kind of nice that I just got an email from our gym saying that they, you know, froze the account, which was nice to see. Mm-hmm. So they're helping us all out.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. The gym by my house said that we were going to reopen April 1st, and I'm pretty positive that's not going to happen. No shot, no. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad you you know, could take the time to just jump on here with me and Guy really quick and really, you know, dwell upon what PeakO2 brings to the table. I was just telling Guy before you joined that PeakO2 is probably by far my favorite ingredient in the space, period. I love what it brings to the table, VO2 max, strength output, all those things encompassed. Putting that in a non-stim pump formula, I think really does separate the product itself. But, I mean, I'll let you, you know, we were talking before. I didn't want to take up too much of your time because I know I was going to geek out too, but by all means, go ahead.
No, it's all good. And I appreciate you guys having me on. I think you and I, Nick, probably share a very common interest because PeakO2 is probably not only one of my favorite ingredients in the industry, but I was asked yesterday by some of our team at Compound, like, what's your favorite ingredient that you can't go without? And most everybody actually said teocrine. I was like,
really?
PeakO2. Like, I wouldn't do without PeakO2. And I think where it kind of like sets itself apart in the industry is it's very, very universal for the applications that it can be used in. So if you're somebody with a stature like Guy and you're a bodybuilder, it's going to benefit you in the power output and endurance. But then on the opposite side of the spectrum, maybe it's a marathon runner, you know, like the applications and what it does for peak output is just incredible. And the other thing that's kind of nice too is with a lot of the ingredients in the industry, it takes a while for saturation, where this one you get saturated a little bit quicker than most of the other ones. You know, once you hit the 28 gram dose consecutively, and you could split that into 7 4-gram doses. You could do 1 gram a day for 20 days. Doesn't matter how quick you want to get to saturation, but 28 grams of saturation, once it's in full effect. And it's like you were saying, yeah, peak power, endurance, strength. It even shows about how it can, you know, alleviate stress on the heart too, which in turn not only helps with, you know, making some of your pump ingredients work better, but then again, that's going to help with the endurance aspect too. So the fact that you guys, I know you guys have it in Hazard, but also your Peak product as well too, right?
Have it in Peak Force too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that, if I'm not mistaken, right, is more of like a overall testosterone booster and
Yeah. It has
another-
LJ100, Prima V, KSM, all those. And then we stacked on Peak just for that performance standout. Because the idea is obviously all the products you could take together. So you take Hazard and let's say Peak Force and you're stacking those together, you got 2 grams a day. You're great. You're set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of just the one other thing that I chime in there with is just the synergy of the ingredients. So allowing to take some stress off the heart is going to amplify the effects of what I believe you have nitrogen in there and S7.
Yep.
You've got some really unique ingredients. So it's going to help amplify the effects of those too. But yeah, PeakO2, diehard fan. I'm glad that we share a very common interest. But yeah, what else you got for me on that one? Sorry.
So no, it's no problem. No, not at all. No, in the product we were just going through before you joined, we have vitamin C, full spectrum of electrolytes, magnesium from maggluconate, the potassium coming from, we have a trademarked coconut water powder, Kobico coconut water powder. And some of that potassium also comes from the nitrogen itself. We have Hydromax, nitrogen, an extra 500 milligrams of lion's mane standalone. So like not just from the PeakO2. So the idea behind this was to give people the focus, not the stimmed out junkie focus where you're bouncing from wall to wall, but to give them the focus of, let's say, a higher stim pre-workout without the jitters. So
Sure.
you're gonna be dialed in with that, with all the vasodilation, electrolytes, muscle contraction properties this has, with the VO2 max. And I even have to say, when I was taking this when we were doing the trials for it, I took it for, I think it was about a month and a half straight. And then I wanted to see what it was like removing PeakO2. And after I removed PeakO2, it was about a week and a half that I saw, I got to say, a significant drop in my stamina in terms of cardio. I was on the Stairmaster for like 3 weeks. I was like, wait, what did I take out? And it was the PeakO2. It really was. And no, not the stamina guy. I saw your face.
No, I think you hit it on the head. Just because, just like you're speaking of, whenever you're doing cardio and whatnot, I myself, I got to increase the cardio output because I transitioned from a soccer player into a power lifter. So obviously a lot different. But what I've personally noticed too, doing that and doing less cardio, obviously my stamina goes way down. A couple years ago, when my buddy introduced me to PeakO2, is definitely a difference maker in that application for not only powerlifting endurance, but that I love how you formulated this one, because you really have made a great product in a fashion that it can literally be sold to any person, really, for any type of training they're doing. So kudos to you guys on the point.
Yeah, thanks. And before that, I want to get your point, one last point, because these episodes are going to be quick. It's not going to be one of those, like coming in hot podcast or anything like that. But I was just telling Guy before, we have 3 pre-workouts. We have Havoc, our moderate stim, Hazard, our non-stim, and Trigger, which is our high stim with 350 mg of caffeine. I think that, this is just my personal opinion, that the category of pre-workout has gotten kind of off track in terms of measuring its quality. And I think that people just turn the back of the label and look at caffeine, and then they'll measure, oh, this is a bullshit pre-workout. There's only 200 milligrams of caffeine, or where's the caffeine in this? And I think that a product like this, if given a try, could really change your mind in terms of performance and muscle contraction, things like that. But this is my personal opinion. I think people have they've started measuring pre-workouts the wrong way after, DMAA and all those things came into the picture. It kind of threw the category for a curveball. And I think with how educated the consumer has been or has become in the past couple of years, that you've seen a different approach in, customer purchases in terms of pre-workout.
No, you're 100% right. And I think that's why, like, companies like yourself, like you said, you have 3 different options, because there are a lot of different things that customers look for and consumers. And I think where you really hit it on the head again was the fact that, they're very uneducated in the fact that, there's pre-workouts out there that have like 600.
Yeah.
And obviously that's way overboard.
Yeah.
When you have all these synergistic ingredients on top of caffeine, you don't need near as much.
Oh.
And like when you're using, whether it might be teacrine or dynamine or hygenamine or whatever it might be, these other ingredients, people need to realize amplify the effects of caffeine. And I always say stick around 300 at max,
Yeah.
a little bit more. But no, I love the option of having the non-stim. And what most people, I think, need to realize too is that people look at some of those products and like, well, why would I take something non-stim? Well, okay, maybe you're working out late at night, sure. But the application of how you can stack it on top of things with stimulants is going to give you better benefits. The fact that you guys added another, you said 500 milligrams of lion's mane, huge fan of that, big focus agent. And that's where I think the consumer needs to kind of shift their focus into specific performance enhancing ingredients like that. So again, kudos to you guys on the formula. Great job.
I think it's good to have 3 different ones, because I always say that I don't believe that pre-workouts are taken every day. There's like high stim pre-workouts or stim pre-workouts are supposed to be taken as a needed basis, not every day. You shouldn't need a high, if you need a high stim pre-workout just to go to the gym every day, there's no point going to the gym. But there are days where you're going to be dragging ass and you need a heavier stim pre-workout, which is absolutely fine. I personally don't like any, but we never had a stim free until we had, before we had Havoc, which Havoc was great because it only had about 200 mg of caffeine, which is about equivalent to a large cup of coffee, which I'm cool with. But I think the consumer has to understand that they can take a non-stim all year round with no backlash. And you have your moderate and your heavier ones for days that you need a boost. But too many people just stay at the high end spectrum 24/7 and they never kind of rotate or cycle it. And I think that's the issue.
100% agree.
Yeah, and I think what me and Guy discussed again before you hopped on was that, you know, in terms of using high stim pre-workouts, it's just a matter of, one, like Guy said, cycling it. Two, you got to learn your body too. And what happens is that when people start taking these, you know, heavily caffeinated pre-workouts, is that the end user seems to sometimes forget that the purpose of a pre-workout is to aid blood flow and to get nutrients and fresh oxygen into that muscle group that you're training. And a significant or higher dose of caffeine, if you will, is counterintuitive to that you know, desired end result.
Yes.
And you're kind of counteracting that, and it's really disadvantageous for the.
That's a big one, buddy.
That's a big one, right? I reached for disadvantageous.
College word.
Hey, you know, masters. Anyway, but yeah, man, I really do appreciate you taking the time to hop on. I know we're going to have a few more episodes of these because we do use a lot of ingredients from you guys. We're going to be using Instaminos. I'm planning something with Dynamine soon. And you know, hopefully Teacrine as well. You know, so we're really, really shooting from the hip here, but I appreciate you coming on, and Guy, as always, I thank you for your time, because I know you're really busy, you know, cleaning the house and stuff. But you know,
Also, quarantine workouts.
Yeah, you know, Guy's gonna be posting his at-home workout. He made I made a new flavor with a broomstick and 2 bags full
CrossFit style.
Full of rocks. Yeah.
We should come out with a flavor called Quarantini.
No worries.
Hey, April Fool's is right around the corner.
I was thinking, like, maybe April Fool's like come out and say, "Oh, by the way, this whole thing was just to, you know, make sure you guys started washing your fucking hands." That's what this was for.
It's the best April Fool's joke ever.
I was the guy on the phone the other day. I was when I told you, I was like, I want to know what people were doing with their hygiene before this.
Right.
Like, why is this such an adjustment for you?
The motherfuckers that are wearing the masks and buying all the fucking cleaning products are the same assholes that take the fucking shoes off at the gym, that walk around with the pimple pus fucking backs and lay over the equipment. They're the same idiots that are fucking buying all this shit.
Couldn't agree more. On that note,
you see it at the airports. You know, it doesn't.
That's the scary. Just to be like honest though, the only scary part for me is that, like, for instance, my grandmother lives with us now, and that, you know, it's for people like me. I'm 28 years old, so if I get something,
you're good.
Yeah, but I'll get a cough. Like, hopefully, knock on wood. Like, if I do get it, but like I'm putting my whole family at risk. So you gotta be careful. And like, people like Guy, senior citizens, you gotta be careful, and just make sure that you're not around them.
Grandmother's favorite, just go jump off a cliff somewhere. You'll be all right.
No, I'll bring your wheelchair. Anyway, I do appreciate both of you taking the time for episode 1 of MFIT TV. And until next time, that is all, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Practice good hygiene, Guy. Take a goddamn shower every once in a while.
Yeah,
Brush your fucking teeth once. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys for your time, and that's a wrap.